There I am at the pretty little entrance to the ferry boat. They pan around, give some sense of local color. There's one of the old boats, teak I believe. They're heralded with a great respect. This is one of the ferry boats, so there's lots of business. But my boat's right over there, being eclipsed by another giant barge moving up through here. And where we're going is a modern temple, but apparently, as you may read there, it has a Chinese temple as part of it. So we may hear firecrackers. It's done in the Ayutthaya image, whatever that is, while the ones flanking are in the Sukhothai style. We'll take a look at those a little bit later on. There is a distinction, obviously. As you can figure out, we just got off at the little pier down at the bottom, and I've moved along the waterfront over to the left, and I'll take a look at this far left side first and then work my way back this way and ultimately around there. This is interesting. It looks like this whole structure is set up to move. There's a monk busily engaged on his cell phone. Here we're getting a view from the far left side. Now, what most noticeable to me is that largest building. Notice that its gable is extremely simple, almost as though it were just set up in a blunt grid in preparation for some little panels of drawings or iconography. On the other hand, as we pull down closer, notice the richness of the blue color in these. Somewhat traditional for us so far. And they're a spire from a Chedai. Don't you wish you knew how you really pronounce that? I do. Not to be disrespectful, these remind me of carousel horses in the sense of sculpture, beautiful color, probably valuable. Here's an impressive round table. This kind of a burrowwood pattern. This spectacular decoration. Just as a Westerner is ignorant, I can suggest this is clearly Chinese with the dragons. And notice this pole, almost alluding in my mind, not in itself, to the poles of the Tlingit Indian of the northwest coast of Alaska, or of the northwest. And notice that their Buddha is a chubby, happy, jocular little fellow. The pose anything but particularly reverent, although it may be traditional. Certainly an impressive warrior. A la Genghis Khan, perhaps? Could it be its roots? And this religious icon, I've seen pictures of it, but I don't remember what it is, but the multi-arm. in this case multi-headed. Beads are a form of offering here. That's the first time I've seen that. What a colorful religion. To me, the detail is fascinating. These lions are impressive. These characters are interesting. Each one holds a different implement. One a musical instrument, a mandolin type, another a serpent snake type, another a sword, and the other almost looking like a parasol. And the facial expression's a little bit different. This man happy. This man, that facial expression seems to reflect repugnance. This man, almost a kind of a confidence, a gentle confidence. And this man I can't detect. And perhaps here we have the warrior's princess. She also looks armed, at least cloaked in armor of some sort. And this, what looks like a wall divider, but with some beautiful inlay. And there a little statue that certainly appears to be a European. In fact, an admiral, I suspect, British perhaps. Here, an impressive, perhaps a warrior type person, but looking, I think, down, but with his hands sheltering his eyes from perhaps the sun. He's carrying some kind of a wand or stick, feathers from his head. And here a better look at our princess. And some other statuary. Notice the smiling happy Buddha, if that's what it is. And these light little balloons are so pretty. They're not balloons, but globes. Did these warriors serve the same function of figuratively protecting the entryway? Perhaps some traditional drums and bells? Just a pan for some view, and to pick up the design of the exterior of this little building I'd poked into just a moment before. An epiphany when I see their external richness, the surface richness of this culture. It seems so sad that my culture is so ignorant of it. Perhaps they of mine. Can you believe that this and the chain work is all made out of stone, maybe even jade? I wonder if this building here on the right is teak. Look at the cute little sculptures of the bushes. Now these are decorative panels installed in addition on the pilasters, in addition to the window decoration and treatment. This character to me looks half elephant, half fish. And here almost like I think I'll call them horse fishes. This is starting to look like the Star Wars character. Just for your information, I'm now back inside of the building without realizing that I had videoed the large Buddha moments ago. This character reminds me of a Pope-like character. Notice his shoes are off. Notice he has implements in his hand which reflect either his power or scope of his power. A pleasant face. Some irreverent person has put a cigarette butt in there. And he also has a hat that's almost reminiscent of a Catholic Church personage. If I don't feel like I can get away with carrying my shoes with my hat draped over them, then I put my hat over them. Here are rows of bells that the faithful, on occasion for some reason, will most lustily bang away at. Now notice this stupa or chadai is very, very much different. Has almost fortress-like corners, and it has very angular tiers and angular indented corners. A couple of niches on each, or a niche on each 90-degree face. And then it starts to look like the large chadai that we saw yesterday, at least figuratively speaking for its size. Some more little sculpted characters. Here a whole pile of Dalmatians, and looks like a Rottweiler down there wagging their tails for some reason. There's a monk also. This is a very nice compound of beautifully understated, I suspect, a combination of wood and painted wood and regular wood, some of which has been actually carved. And a monk ushered me in before he got into his van and drove off, so I will. And I guess from the blackboard there, or the whiteboard, this is probably an area of classrooms and residences. But remember, it's modern, apparently. And so these relief panels on the walls may be European. Certainly these would be very pretty on homes anywhere in the world. Yes, I suspect that these are screened living areas and kitchen areas for monks. But apparently all this is public. Okay, now I'm upstairs in that building. Here's what looks like a very nice large living room type lounge. With leather sofas. And this is a magnificently ornamented room so far as the gold graphics on what looks like a rich purple background. Here for those who still have knees that are original and that bend. And these very European looking chairs and couches for all the rest of us. Now back here going on either some extensive remodeling or construction. And notice, fooled me, the bottom floor is cement that's apparently painted. But then the wood above is apparently quite genuine. Although notice that those are steel supports there on the outside, I-beams in fact. So let's pan down here and look and see. Okay, there you see pilings driven into the ground to get down someplace probably beneath the water level of the river nearby. And then on top of those are installed those I-beams. Notice a cream-colored, newly painted it looks like, to go along with the white. That's the first color like that I've seen. Very nice, with some gold work on it too. Some very beautiful and ornate fans. I wonder if other people are brought in, like made types to do that. Dumb me, I didn't notice each chair type thing has its own stand and its own umbrella. Look at the subtle, pretty use of color. How elegant. Very close pan of the characters on the window shutters or doors. No doubt these panels are murals, just of a very ornate, simplistic version. And probably, although this is Chinese influence, may allude to some epic, if not the Thai epic or the Indian epic. They all seem to be the same except mirrored image, pair to pair. Here's just a quick opportunity to look closely at the cement and confirm that it is. Here's some pretty cut frosted glass, it looks like. This whole building apparently has a lot of it. Haven't seen that element before, but again, remember, this is modern. You get a little sense, I think, a big sense, of European construction in here. And it may be unfair, but that's the sense. Looks like it might be descriptive of a Chedai. These men have the task of, in a detailed way, digging out a square to cover these piling posts here. And a little bit of modern instrument. There's an impact pneumatic breaking up rock device, but basically you're down to hand tools like this where you can get down in the little tight spot. Most of these I-beams, as you can see, are inside the building. Just a part of it sticks out, and that supports the upper structure. And there you can see that it continues up quite a ways, and then they'll fill that in with the wood paneling. It'd be interesting to see if these are forms that are used or whether it's just an applique on top of the cement. Here we can see that two buildings have been joined together, kind of moving toward the mall concept, if you will. This looks like it's a large, either convention or cafeteria hall. Notice how the marble is a veneer. Here a toilet, classic toilet with the squat toilets. They're very easy to use. I think you do stand on top. And then you flush it from this basin filled with water. Now the perimeter of this compound will be kept very, very pretty, and dramatic looking, even though the interior will become more utilitarian. Now I'm on the waterfront, which is nicely done. Has a very substantial pier designed to rise and fall with the river. Panning down through this will give you an idea of what the river's like. While I probably won't go on a boat ride here on the Chao River, other than the ones I did in almost every day in Bangkok, I will go on a couple of boat rides through more unpopulated areas in northern Thailand. Now this stairway reminds me of the stairway of pictures I saw, I think, in India in the movie Baraka, which were used for cremations, as well as giving people access to that platform down there to wash their clothes. And these appear to be large river-going oil tankers. It's actually a very lovely day today. It's starting to get warm, but there's a nice breeze, as you can see with the flag. Even though much of what we're looking at is cement painted, except for this in the center, which is, I believe, wood, and of course the top, it's still a very rich, beautiful look. And I suspect this large model may reflect a spirit house, even though it's composed of at least 3 structures. There we see the icons, and perhaps particularly the one on the top of the stairs. I don't know whether they eat these or not, but everybody feeds them all over the country apparently. Now, one of my goals is to get over to that Chedai there, but I have to go across that other arm of water to the right. You can't see from here. And I don't see on my map any ferry that goes that way. So my problem is to get from 29 where I am right now, 28 where I am right now, over to 17. And while there's a ferry going from 28 and 39 over to 23, I don't see one going to 17. So I'm going to walk down there in the hopes that maybe there is one, just not on this map. This, I believe, used to be a fort, which is ideal because it's located at a intersection of the Chaho River going that way, and then this body of water that goes around Ayutthaya. But what strikes me are, first of all, these archways, which seem to describe that a European technique of building a form and then butting your bricks up to it. But what it interestingly reminds me of is the big wall around Zamość in Poland that I saw earlier this year. But what I really want is somebody to get me over there. So this is where I want to get. And they've got a dock, but my guess is that's used for the cruise or the tour boats that people get for a 1 or 2 hour cruise around the island. Yeah, I'm standing at an intersection obviously where I want to go ahead and pick up a ferry, but I don't know that there is one. Or I can go right to the historical center, which I really do want to go to because they've got models of some of these places which will make them come alive both for me and you. And I don't know about whether I want to go to either of these other 2 places. Now, just to orientate you, I'm way over to the left of the island, and if I go to the right, I'll go to those lower 2 Wats we were at yesterday. Actually the 3rd and 4th one. Correction, the 4th and 5th one. But right now I want to go to this one, Wat Rakhang, and then take another semilar and go back along that side of the river to that other Wat over there, as well as the Portuguese and the Muslim section. I want to roam around the Portuguese section. This is about the same size ferry I was on before, only now it's carrying about 4 motorcycles, which you'll see in a minute how cleverly they get these on and off. He's going to pull in sideways here and they're just going to roll right off. Well, my plan worked out just like I wanted it, but not due to the instructions I got at the little restaurant. They told me I had to go down to the bridge, and they did that by going like that. At first it took me a while to figure it out, but then I realized it. But then my plan worked out better, because not more than a quarter of a mile from them at the most is a ferry going across right here. So it worked out perfectly. And they roll it right up here and pay this lady 5 baht. Okay, this is tape number 5. In fact, if I take a quick look over there, that's the empty lot that I came down to look at this. I've just come across on this ferry boat to see the Portuguese area. Okay, so just about where it says Muslim district, there was a ferry, and it came across to this Wat site that I'd seen from the other side. So now my plan is to look at this river and then wander around till I find 17, which is the Portuguese district, and then I'll wander back along that road, finding the Muslim district and perhaps even the mosque. Then I'll work back along this road, hitting a couple of these Wats, until I can either grab a ferry or hit that Wat there too, number 19, I want that one. And then I'll come back up here and either have taken a similar back to the city or keep walking. And all these scooters here are probably people who came from elsewhere off island to this spot and took the ferry over to work on island without taking their scooter with them. Okay, at this point I don't know what the name of this Wat is, and I'm just going to pan around. You can see some, looks like a residential building there, but then a couple of older buildings that look authentic, and then something under construction. Here another smaller building that's in excellent condition, and then the main building here. And then a smaller companion building over to the right. So we'll go explore each of those. Before I go any farther, there's a German couple there, and they were on the other side standing above the ferry boat, but not like they were ready to get on. And I said, "Is this the way over?" They said they didn't know, so I went up and talked to another young girl and asked her. And she indicated, after we had gone through some histrionics between each other, that yes, that's exactly where it was going. And so I commented to those folks, I said, "Well, she says that's where it's going." And he said to me in his German voice, he said, "They never know what they're talking about." And I thought to myself, you ignorant son of a bitch, that's part of the reason the world's like it is. And the irony is I've been communicating with these folks for the last week that I've been here, using 4 phrases, 4 short phrases in Thai. They do an excellent job. We do an excellent job, they and I. Okay, notice this, a la Chichen Itza. The railing are serpents, or what are called nagas, I think here. An interesting painted Buddha. This is a smaller shrine, one of the 2, this one on the left. And here, what look to be 3 Buddhas, although the 2 on the right and left may, rather than Buddhas, that's okay, be okay, maybe just shamans or something like that. But this Buddha here, notice that the snake's heads, there are 7 of them, protecting Buddha's head from rain. Okay, here are some very clear style differences. First of all, notice how the string has been used to create some kind of a radiating level of atmosphere or connection to the Buddha. But notice also the Buddha has that flaming around him, the one flame shooting up in the center, and then notice the 2 tails. They have a certain function which I'll try to recall and insert. Notice though that the right hand is pointing down close to the earth, that the arms and legs and the fingers seem to be without any kind of structure. These are very much this area's stylization. And here's an example of these little gold leaves of squares. I'm sure now that they're merit offerings. And this is good because it illustrates different styles. Notice this one here. The lying Buddha. This is different, the sitting Buddha, but not even in a chair. Now here at the back, collection of different stupas or chadai. Some different styles, very much so. Particularly pretty are the ones that are done in tile. At the back, as you can see those. And this one in the foreground for its beautiful contrast against the white. And several more on the other side. Had I the time, and perhaps someday will, the inclination, I could analyze these to attempt to decipher their style, but I'm content at this point just to reflect on the fact that there are many styles. As with the Inca, as with probably all societies that survived a millennium or so. This has almost a pretty Baskin-Robbins ice cream color look to it. Almost looks like frosting to me. A gathering of Buddhas. By my reckoning, I'll go straight towards that road, and I'm down below the 7 and to the right a bit, I think. So I'll strike it on the curve, I think, and then angle to the left up till I wander into the Portuguese section, hoping I can identify it as such. Local little gas station. Notice the ramps for the motorcycle. Okay, there's the curve that I was talking about, and here's Wat Nangkuy, which I had not heard about. Hopefully this is as close as I'll come to a snake. Has the right idea with an umbrella. This might have been the complex that I saw from across the street, the river. This looks like a very old temple that has lost its embellishment, except for this bonsai tree that's got a little watering device on the top to keep it always nice. How pretty it looks. I doubt we can get much by looking at the top, but at least it's still in existence, so it can be restored. This building reeks with antiquity, if for no other reason than it's not restored. It leaves me feeling like I'm halfway in one of the big monuments I was in yesterday, but better, slightly better restored. Notice the unique posture of this Buddha, particularly the legs and the feet. This building has an even greater number of those very pretty carpets. I don't know if those are a Muslim influence or not, since we're near a Muslim quarter. There's some of that furniture I saw in the store where a family was looking to purchase some. And I think this is a princess rather than a Buddha. Although it does reflect similar posture, but it's far more ornate. And notice that the Buddhas here are cloaked with real fabric, including the prime Buddha at the top. But you may also notice the walls are totally unadorned, including the ceiling. Here's still a remnant of blue, and a blue porcelain cup, it looks like, for decoration there in the center. And the small Buddha. Most conspicuous, the absence of embellishment of any sort. A little bit of gold remains on the work there on the gable. Very nicely maintained. This was the one I was looking at because there's that vacant lot I came down to. And I think this is the restaurant I may have visited. This one or that one. This is a large hall with what looks like an audience chair and somewhat elaborate stairway for getting up to it. Apparently they're preparing something, dinner for somebody. It's interesting, and all that we would call squalor is a satellite TV dish. Well, I'm pretty much around the curve right now, but all this is starting to look like farmland, but maybe up around the corner. So I'm going to walk maybe another quarter mile, and otherwise I'll turn around. There's a nice little house complex, protected somewhat against the monsoons. But it sits in low ground for some reason. So I'm going to walk up right around that corner, and then I'm through walking. My perseverance is being rewarded. Here it is. Here's some beautiful homes. Very, very nice looking. Probably right on the river, just guessing. So this is the Portuguese settlement. Perhaps that yellow flag is the Portuguese flag. Perhaps those are ruins. So apparently in AD 1511, the Portuguese were the first to have been befriended by the Thai rulers of Ayutthaya. But in the war in 1511 between them and the Burmese, the use of Portuguese firearms swayed the victory in favor of Ayutthaya. And in 1540, the land that we will look at, or are looking at, was granted to the Portuguese. There were 3 Roman churches and a population of almost 3,000 people, composed mostly of militia, shipbuilders, and merchants. There were 3 churches, one of the Dominicans, the Jesuits, and of the Franciscans. So let's go take a look at this. So, other than the material, these bricks, this would be very similar looking to what I've seen in southwestern United States for the Pueblo Indians, and also what I've seen in other cultures. This bowl was apparently a toilet. How it was used would be interesting. And I don't know what that is. Can't see from here. This was the residence of the priests, fairly sizable quarters. Whether this whole thing was his residence or not, I don't know, but quite sizable. Several entrances, or at least windows. Apparently somewhere in this area there's 2 slab stones, but it was the altar. But of which church and where the altar was and how the church was orientated, although it should have been east to west, I don't know. This was the site of the Dominican Church. In 1984 it was excavated and revealed 200 skeletons. When I see skeletons like this, I'm always reminded of the irony that these people gained some immortality, far more than billions and billions of others. Look at there, where it appears to be two skulls together. I always try to remember that these people lived lives where they loved and hated, dreamed, or frightened. The archaeological analysis is kind of interesting. They analyzed different patterns in which the hands were set, clasped over the abdomen, folded over the chest, left hand bended, or placed both hands pressed close to the body, outlining the sky or the orientation of the skulls: 19 to the west, 47 to the east, 134 unable to describe. Two of the skeletons analyzed indicated osteomyelitis for one, and the other had severe attack from a sharp weapon. As indicated, nip to upper chin bone were cut off and clavicle was fractured in two pieces. Also, evidence of Lyme would suggest epidemic burial. This church, as well as the whole community, was destroyed by the Burmese in 1867 and then restored by a Portuguese foundation in 1984. Just think the ankle bones, the weights they bore, the tasks they endured. This is a copy of an old map apparently drawn by the Portuguese of Siam or Ayutthaya at the time they were here. Must have been a pretty place. The guy that drives this just reminds me of someone who has dreams at night that they can't get away from something, no matter how hard they pull. Here beside the church is an interesting tree with even far more interesting fruit. Whether it's edible fruit or not, I don't know. Just had my first ride on a scooter, but it wasn't a taxi scooter. I got here and the guy didn't even ask for any money. And this is the ferry, so I've made my decision. I'm going to go to the Ayutthaya Historical Study Center, I think it's called. I gave him 10 baht, which surprised the hell out of him, I think.